Are you interested in a fantastic community situated right in between downtown Fort Worth, downtown Dallas, and the DFW airport? If so, sounds like Grand Prairie could be a great fit for you, so stay tuned. Hi everyone, my name is Wendy Pinnell. I am a realtor and a broker with On Track Realty here in the great state of Texas. I've been a realtor for over 14 years now, helping buyers and sellers move from like within Dallas, outside of Dallas, within Texas, outside of Texas, even outside of the country. So basically, I work with buyers and sellers just like you. All right, today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Grand Prairie. Okay, so far we've talked a bit about Grand Prairie in some past videos, right? We've talked about the schools in Grand Prairie and how amazing they are. They're in that fantastic open school district. We've compared Grand Prairie to Arlington. We've talked about just Grand Prairie in general. And more recently, we did a vlog tour on Grand Prairie. But today I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. I want to do a bird's eye view where we kind of look in at the map so I can show you all of these things that I've been talking to you about. We'll even talk about the 3 subdivisions we talked about in my last vlog tour, kind of show you where those are in the map as well. So, are you ready? If so, let's get to it. Okay, so here we are in Grand Prairie. You can see right now it is very large city, okay? The population in Grand Prairie is 195,000. Okay, so 10 years ago, population in Grand Prairie was 175,000. So it's growing kind of at a tempered pace, about 11% over 10 years. Why is this important? Well, because it lets you still have some nice new shiny new construction down here, right? Because if it was landlocked, you would be limited and you wouldn't be able to find anything new. You'd be stuck into a certain, decade in terms of construction. But because it's growing more slowly, you get to have some new construction still. So that's very cool. Little real estate for you. The median sales price in Grand Prairie over the past 90 days was $320,000. Okay, your median price per square foot, $158 per square foot. So that kind of gives you an idea of what Grand Prairie is selling for. And I can tell you right now, a lot of what is driving that up, those prices up, is what you're going to find right down here on the south side. Okay, so let's talk about some commute numbers. Okay, so you can see right here, we have Grand Prairie. Okay, over here, we have downtown Dallas. And then over here, we have Fort Worth. Okay, now in the middle here, you have Arlington. Okay, so how far is your commute going to be? Well, a lot depends, of course, on what part of Grand Prairie you're in, because Grand Prairie is huge, right? It comes all the way down here. And honestly, so it's definitely in here, and there's even a little bit over here of Grand Prairie. Okay, so it's definitely spans a huge area. If you were going, from, let's just say, downtown Dallas, and you were going to be in Grand Prairie, you could take I-30, if this is the part of Grand Prairie you were in. You could also, if you were down on the lower section, you could still go the same way. Then you could take Loop 12 to 408 if you were in here. If you were going downtown and you were down further south, keep in mind this right here is the George W. Bush Tollway, and it's very fast and very nice. So it might be that you would come down this way. Now, this way, the George W. Bush is a very nice new highway, brought an enormous amount of life to Grand Prairie, and it keeps it going. So, if you're down here where everything is, shiny and new, and you're coming from downtown Dallas, chances are you're going to take this nice little George W. Bush right here, and you're going to go all the way down across the peninsula. Really nice housing in here. Okay, so what if you were starting in downtown Fort Worth? Well, again, it all depends on what part of Grand Prairie you're in. So you might take 30 all the way across, right? You might take 287, find yourself on I-20, Or it's quite possible that you may take 287 all the way down because this is Grand Prairie too. So, you know, lots of different choices here, which I think is a great thing, and a huge advantage is you've got a lot of options for getting into Grand Prairie fast. You've also got 360. So just a matter of like, if you take a look at all these highways, you've got Loop 12 and 408, you have I-20, okay, right here. This is Highway 360. This is your nice George W. Bush, right? And it goes straight on down here, okay? So you have I-20, I-30, so lots of highway access here. Now, what are we talking commute time? Well, again, it depends on what part of Grand Prairie you're in, but if you were going, let's just say downtown Dallas to right in here in this part, you'd be talking like 15 minutes. Like you could go from downtown Dallas to Grand Prairie, 15 minutes. If you were leaving right here, Fort Worth over to Grand Prairie, talking about 30 minutes. Okay, now let's just say you wanted to go to the AT&T Stadium, right? It's right in here. You want to see like the Dallas Cowboys, or you want to see the Texas Rangers play. Kind of going to depend. Again, you could be as little as like 5 to 10 minutes away, a little bit longer if you're here, but just keep in mind that this is a very fast highway, okay? Also, this one, this 360, you can see right here, they call it a tollway. So when it's south of 20, this is a tollway, new, shiny, fast. North of 20, 360, kind of congested, crowded, not as great, okay? It's just a public highway, so it just depends. This one gonna take you so much longer, and then you get here and you just zip on by, okay? Let's talk about age of homes, because the interesting thing I think you're gonna find interesting about Grand Prairie is that it kind of started up here along I-30, and you know, we saw on our map that Grand Prairie actually protrudes above, you know, I-30 here. It borders Irving. Anyway, it kind of started here, and as it grew, it worked its way down, right? So essentially what you see is this decade settling across the board. So if you want to see like older houses, you're going to look up here, you're going to find much older houses. You're going to find great investment properties, fixer-uppers, great rentals right in here, right? And then they just gradually get newer and newer. Now, this is not 100% true. Like, you will find some newer, older homes here, you know, from the originals, but I'm just talking about as a general pattern, the older ones, and then they gradually get newer until you get down here and you've got, you know, brand new construction going on, right? So that's just kind of the settling pattern of Grand Prairie. Okay, let me show you a couple of other things. Let me kind of get rid of this and this, and get rid of all this little riffraff here. Okay, let's go in a little bit here. Let's kind of take a look and see what we have. Now, I've talked about how, let's see if we get our bearings here. Scroll in just a little bit more. Okay. All right, there we are. That's what I was looking for. I really wanted to talk to you a little bit about this George W. Bush. I know it says 161 and George W. Bush right in here. So what happened was this is relatively new, okay, the George W. Bush, and it just brought so much life. And so, you know, whereas in other areas of Grand Prairie, you've kind of got an old, okay, right in here, alongside here, you've got fantastic new shopping. Let me see if I can kind of scroll in here, see how it's President George Bush. You've got some great shopping in here, lots of great dining. Let's kind of take a look there. Okay, so right in here, okay, is where you really start to see that fantastic retail. Let's see if we can scroll in just a little bit more. Okay. All right, so you start to see it a little bit further down. Okay. Okay, so right in here you've got a lot of shopping in here, okay? You can kind of see there. So like if you wanted to go out to dinner in Grand Prairie, good chances you would come right in here. Lots of shopping here. You know, you can see you've got Jack in the Box, Olive Garden, Longhorn Steakhouse, King Crab, a lot of eclectic things too. You got your Burlington, your Burke's, your Michael's, your Ross, your Ulta Beauty, your Home Goods. Lots of really neat shopping here. On this side, you have Kohl's. You have a whole shopping center in here. There is a Walmart even in here as well. So this whole section, the 161, when they brought it in, lots of new stuff came with it. They have here in Grand Prairie a giant IKEA store. Okay, so those of you that are IKEA fans, you're gonna love that. Okay, so you got your Jason's Deli. So again, just as you're on this 161, lots and lots of new stuff. Also over here, this is a little bit of an older section, but you can see right here that they also have their own outlet mall. Okay, so over here we have the Grand Prairie Premium Outlets, and as you can see, it is a very nice size. Lots to offer here. Really neat. Now over here, a little bit, you've got your own Harley Davidson store here. You've got at home going on. So lots of neat stuff. Retail all along in here, and then your shiny stuff is along that George W. Bush, all your nice new retail there. So let me kind of show you now. We talked about, on that blog, we talked about 3 different subdivisions, right? Okay, if you've watched that blog, you'll know we talked about Mira-Lagos, we talked about Grand Peninsula, and we talked about Lake Ridge. So if you've watched that vlog, you're going to be able to make sense of this. Okay, so now it's going to kind of have a little bit more deeper meaning for you. So let's kind of, and in fact, I even, in that vlog, I put a little thing that said, we're crossing the peninsula. So where is that? Okay, so it's right here. Okay, so this is where you're going to cross the lake to get into the peninsula. Okay, so again, kind of getting your bearings up here, you've got all that nice new retail. Okay, you can hop on to George W. Bush, which turns into Lake Ridge Parkway, and you're zipping right down. Everything in here, newest, okay, all very nice, okay, but then you get right here. This is a really neat restaurant, by the way, the Oasis, really nice. You sit lakefront right here. It's a really neat area, and they would have lots of live music and whatnot. Okay, so if we go down in here, here's our peninsula, right? And of course, the ones that we talked about, one of them was Grand Peninsula. So let's kind of take a look there. Okay, you can see we're talking Grand Peninsula in here. In fact, here is North Grand Peninsula. Okay, so let's kind of take a note of that. You can see right there we are talking about Grand Peninsula. So that's one of the ones we saw. We came down here, we saw Grand Peninsula, and then if you look over here, you're going to find Mira-Lagos. And remember, I said Mira-Lagos was just massive. It's mixed use, which means it has apartments, townhomes, and single-family homes. And you can see right here, it has a north pole, it has an east pole, so just has a lot to offer. So right here you have your Mira-Lagos, and remember, it's huge. So really, Grand Peninsula and Mira-Lagos are very similar in terms of location. Now, if you also remember from the vlog tour, okay, I showed us crossing the lake again, right? So I had showed us crossing here, and then here, okay? And so what we saw when we saw the Lake Ridge is going to be like right in here, okay? So let's kind of catch that with a pencil if we can. Let's drill down a little bit, okay? And right in here is where you're going to find Lake Ridge. All right, see right there, you can get that Lake Ridge thing going on right here. Now, something you should know about Lake Ridge, and we talked about this in the vlog tour also, is that most of Lake Ridge is Cedar Hill. So there's just this tiny little piece, okay, that is Grand Prairie, okay? So Lake Ridge right in here. You remember we looked at Valley Ridge Park in that vlog tour too and saw how much it had to offer, and so it's right here, just practically in walking distance. And this whole area, really, really nice, very affluent area, all custom built. So none of the homes look like the other. It's not a master plan subdivision to the extent that a developer came in. It's all custom built. Does have an HOA, does have common areas. So from that standpoint is master planned, but each of the homes were custom built. So really fun to drive through. You can see some really wild houses in the Lake Ridge subdivision. So, okay, let me drill back out again. Let's see here now. One thing you should know about the Grand Prairie area is you have like a 62% home ownership rate. Okay, so we know that in high, we talked about how in Irving and Denton, we have much lower home ownership rates, and that kind of made sense from it being like a lot of young professionals. And then we saw like in Grapevine much higher. Midlothian had like an 82% home ownership rate. So Grand Prairie's kind of in there at about like 62%. Okay, so what else do you need to know? This is very fun. This Prairie Lights, okay? This is a big event at Christmas, okay? They have a drive-through, several mile drive-through of lights, and it's really reasonably priced too compared to some of the other. So that one is very popular. Lots of green space, and I said that on all of my videos. I talked about that, in my Grand Prairie video. I talked about in Grand Prairie versus Arlington, and I talked about it in the vlog tour. And hopefully you can see now what I'm talking about, how much green space there is. Lots and lots of green space. And you've got Mountain Creek Lake here, and you've got Joe Po Lake here, and you have exposure on both sides because this is your peninsula, right? You've got your peninsula here, and so Grand Prairie goes all the way down here. All right, so much green space to enjoy. Lloyd Park, very nice, very neat area. It has a beach that you can play on, really nice for the kids. It's got a sand beach, really neat there. Also Lynn Creek Park. Also Lloyd Park has a lot of camping, and Lynn Creek Park is more of a day use. Anyway, so right there you can see you also have the Cedar Hill State Park. Okay, you're on the Grand Prairie side of Cedar Hill State Park, all right? Anyway, so lots and lots of green space in Grand Prairie. Showed you the 3 locations. Keep in mind the further south you go, the newer the real estate, okay? And it comes all the way down in terms of like the cities it borders. Grand Prairie borders like Mansfield and Midlothian, way down here in the south. Then as you go up, you'll see over here, it borders Cedar Hill. And we've done a video on Cedar Hill where I talked about how Cedar Hill has a massive priority of green space. And you can kind of see that to be true. You see all this green in Cedar Hill. So even if you didn't find what you wanted in Grand Prairie, across the lake, you're going to find it in Cedar Hill. Okay, so in terms of what it borders, Grand Prairie is going to border Arlington over here. Okay, so we have Arlington over here. Then, we've got Mansfield. We have Midlothian. You see that right there. We have Cedar Hill. Then we have Duncanville, which it's basically in a little bit of Dallas here. So we have Dallas and then Duncanville. Kind of separates, the lake kind of separates Grand Prairie from the Dallas side. And then up here, we have the northern border of Irving. So hopefully that is helpful. Let me see, is there anything I haven't told you? They do have a couple of emergency urgent care hospitals right along in here. They have Baylor, Scott, and White. And then if you need a hospital further, you can go right into Arlington. And they have one right over here on Matlock Road. So you're not too far from the hospital either. It's like right in here, I believe, at I-20 in Matlock. Also, in terms of shopping, if you don't like what you see at the premium outlets, the mall is right here. We talked about when we did the Arlington versus Grand Prairie one, we talked about, that Arlington had so much more shopping as right there. And we will have to do a map tour of Arlington as well at some point. Parks Mall here. You've also got the Arlington Highlands here. So enormous amount of shopping right here, and Grand Prairie is so close to that. So Grand Prairie, you'll remember from the video we talked about the Traders Village. Okay, this is a giant flea market. Okay, so lots to offer, plenty of dining. And if you don't find what you like in dining, right, just go to Arlington. Over here you can see this is where Six Flags is in terms of entertainment. All of it right next door. It's in Arlington, but it's so close. Here's Hurricane Harbor, Six Flags Over Texas, AT&T Stadium, right? So all of this in Arlington, but super close to Grand Prairie. So Grand Prairie, heavier on the green space, but super close to the entertainment. Also, you can see right here, Lone Star Park, which is the horse racing right there. So hopefully, and then you've got Ripley's Believe It or Not Wax Museum. So anyways, hopefully that really gives you a great idea from the map, that wonderful bird's eye view of Grand Prairie. Okay, so what do you think? Did that help? Was it helpful to kind of give you that bird's eye view of Grand Prairie, kind of see, where it fits into the Metroplex and then all the many things it offers? It's got those quick commutes, kind of helped you see where it was in the middle there. That has all the new retail and the new houses down in the peninsula. Kind of gives you an idea of where that's at, that peninsula-wise. So I'm hoping that map tour was really helpful in giving you like a good idea of whether or not Grand Prairie is a good fit for you. You know what? So it's obvious that I like Grand Prairie, right? But the real question here is, what do you think? Is Grand Prairie a good fit for you? Maybe you're like, oh, Wendy, how would I know? I haven't been there, which is also a good idea. So let's get you over here. Come on over. Let's get your feet on the ground. Let's go take a look, okay? Because you may find out you love Grand Prairie, or maybe it's not right for you at all. So, but let's get you to come on over here. Let us help you in the same way we helped 2 families. Already had 2 closings just this week, okay? We got 1 family all situated and settled in Arlington, South Arlington. They were super excited. Got a neighborhood with a nice school right there. Second ones, we got them settled in Burleson. They were to get the acreage. They were able to get the acreage, all the acreage they've always wanted. They were able to get it. We were able to help them get that. So they were very excited. Okay, so you may be thinking, all right, Wendy, I'm in. What's the next step? Which is a very good question. All right, what you want to do is you want to go to the description section of the video and scroll down and go ahead and click on that Let's Find Home questionnaire. Go ahead and get that, and then get that filled out for us, okay? Because what that does is it gives us the information we need to begin finding the perfect home for you. You know, and I get it, you probably look at the Metroplex and it just probably seems so massive and intimidating, but it doesn't need to be, because we know Dallas, we know Fort Worth, right? And as far as we can tell, that just gives us that many more opportunities to find you the perfect place to call home. Okay, question. Did you find value in this video? If you did, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click on that little bell. You know what? You and us, that didn't quite sound right. All of us together, my family and yours, we can work together to help you find the perfect home. I look forward to it. Let's get acquainted. Okay, in the meantime, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.